United States versus South Korea. Two teams that are going to be in the 2026 World Cup face each other this weekend as they prepare for the largest sporting event in the world. We're 10 months away from it, and the US men's national team's head coach looks dazed and confused. But hey, there's time, and if there's time, there's hope. The only problem is hope kills. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today we're going to have the US men's national team versus South Korea match preview. This is how it's going to go. First, we're going to go through when and where to watch this game, along with the record between both teams. Then we're going to go through the US men's national team news, updates, projected starting 11, and my starting 11, which, by the way, if you want me to do an entire video talking about how I would set up the United States, dive into tactics, phases of play, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll gladly do so if we get enough comments. Last but not least, we're going to have Albert Kim to talk about South Korea, their current state, how they're doing, how the national team is doing, and he is an expert in Korean soccer, so he's obviously going to address Jurgen Klinsmann's time as their coach this cycle. And all of Albert's social media handles will be in the description of this video. Now sit back, relax, just don't fall asleep. Hit the like button if you're a good person, because hitting the like button is free and it helps the channel quite a bit. And this video is brought to you by Manta Sleep, but more on that later. Don't worry about that right now. Let's roll the intro and start the preview. The US men's national team is set to face South Korea this Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. The game will take place at the Red Bull Arena, which is now known as Sports Illustrated Stadium. If you're in the United States, you can watch this game on TNT, Telemundo, HBO Max, and Peacock. So you got plenty of options. And if you want better commentary, in my humble opinion, we do have a live watch along here at Tactical Manager TV. So join us here on YouTube during the game if you want to. I'll try my best to behave. No promises, but I'll try my best. The United States and Korea have faced each other 7 times throughout history, with the United States winning 2 games, Korea winning 3, and they had 2 draws. The last time they faced each other was in 2014, where the United States got a 2-0 win, and Wando actually scored a brace. But if I'm not mistaken, that was during Camp Cupcake. Now, both have also clashed in a World Cup. Back in 2002, the United States and South Korea faced each other during the group stage. That game ended in a 1-1 draw. So we don't have any recent games, right? The current Korean generation, the current American generation, they haven't really faced each other. So we don't have data to project on how this game's going to go, besides getting some US games, some South Korean games, and trying to project of what will happen. But again, it's also a friendly, so it's very hard to predict what either coach will do, how much they care about this game, and much more. Now, if this game does suck and you have trouble sleeping, you're going to want to know or learn more about the sponsor of this video. So before we continue, a quick word from Manta Sleep, the sponsor of the United States versus South Korea Tactical Manager match preview video. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 60 seconds. And this video is brought to you by Manta Sleep. And listen, I know there's a lot of soccer games that can put you to sleep, and even myself. But this right here is what keeps me asleep. And understand, I actually was never really a big fan of sleep masks in general, because most of them are kind of crap. They're not very comfortable, they bother my eyelids, and they're actually not very dark. They don't make it as dark as I would want it to be. But this one actually covers all of that. It is very comfortable for myself to sleep. I don't even feel like I'm wearing it at times. It doesn't really hit my eyelids. If you look at the inside, it doesn't do that. And it's actually extremely dark. That is not a problem anymore. Now, it's not just for when you're at your house, right? You can buy these, and when you're going to travel and you're in a very long flight, someone next to you might turn on the lights to read a book or do whatever. You just put these on and you're fine. And we all need our beauty sleep. We need to sleep 7 to 8 hours a night, and being dark obviously helps. If you don't get your beauty sleep, how are you going to look like taller and better looking Tom Cruise like myself? Now pay attention. If you use the promo code TMTV, the link in the description, you will get 10% off your sleep mask at Manta Sleep. So use our code TMTV, link in the description, and it's free shipping in the United States of America. So, thank you Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Okay, we are back, and thank you very much for staying here with me. Now, let's talk about the U.S. men's national team. Current updates, news, projected starting 11, and my starting 11. Now, I'm not going to address the entire roster. I already did an entire live stream on that, and the roster was a monstrosity. When I saw it, I wanted to vomit in the stream, right? But real men don't vomit. They swallow. And that's what I did. But listen, Balogun was added after that stream because Brian White is injured. And, you know, here are a few names that we're going to be missing due to injuries or Pochettino's odd selections. Then I'll give you the projected starting 11 for this game. So we are missing Mark McKenzie from Toulouse. That was just Pochettino's choice. Tanner Tessman, that was also Pochettino's choice. Johnny Cardoso. Anthony Robinson is back from injury, but I get it. He just got back from knee surgery, so that's why Pochettino left him out. Joe Scally from Borussia Mönchengladbach, that was definitely Pochettino's choice. And the rumors are that Joe Scally was doing donuts with a golf cart, I think in the camp before or during the Nations League camp, and that's why Pochettino doesn't want to call him up anymore. Now, there's no confirmation of that. That's what they're saying. By day, I mean the streets. Malik Tillman will also be missing, but that's because he just came back from injury. Ricardo Pepi's also missing. He also just came back from injury. Gio Reyna just got a move. He's also not in the roster. Yunus Musa just got a move. He's also not in the roster. And Matt Turner from the New England Revolution, which I'm assuming he still should make the roster. I don't know if he's the starter anymore, but he probably should be there. And those are the main ones missing. I might have missed one or two here and there, but those are the main guys. With that said, what is the projected starting 11 to face South Korea this Saturday? Without going into the phases of play, it's probably going to be a standard 4-2-3-1 with Pochettino. And with that said, he's going to probably have Matt Freese on goal, Serginho Dest as a right back, Arfston as the left back, even though I don't really think he's a left back. He's more of a left winger, but whatever. Richards and Ream will likely be the center backs for this game. Maybe in Japan we'll see some rotation, but against South Korea it'll probably be Richards and Ream. And I hope Noah Kai Banks gets minutes at some point this camp. Tyler Adams and Sebastian Berhalter are expected to be the double pivot. Diego Luna at the 10, interchanging with Christian Pulisic. That will be on the left wing. Tim Weah on the right wing. And I'm assuming Josh Sargent will be up top since he didn't even plan on bringing Balogun originally. And Balogun is arriving a day or two later than Sargent. So against South Korea, I expect Sargent to start. And then against Japan, I would assume Balogun would be the starting center forward. Now listen, I know many people probably don't care. Definitely Pochettino doesn't care. And what I'm about to tell you definitely won't happen. But this is my starting 11 to face South Korea, how I would approach this game. And again, I'm not going to be diving into the phases of play. If you guys want me to do that, I will do an entire separate video on this, but you guys need to let me know in the comment section down below. I would go with a 3-5-2 formation. I would start Matt Freese on goal for the first game. For the three center backs, I would have Richards as the right center back, Ream as the central center back because he has a better reading of the game, positioning, awareness, and a good pass. And I would actually start Noah Kai Banks to test him out as a left center back. He's also good on the ball. He can dribble into space. The right wing back would be Alex Freeman, and the left wing back would be Serginho Dest. The double pivot would be Tyler Adams and Jack McGlynn. I think he has a better passing range than the other players that we have on the bench, so I'd go with Tyler and Jack McGlynn. I think that's also a good duo right there. Christian Pulisic would be at the 10 in this 3-5-2 formation, and I would actually put Weah and Balogun up top. Okay, so after we did the entire recording of this episode, Christian Roldan, yes, the 2022 U.S. men's national team Eyes and Vibes player, was randomly added to the roster. So now it's a 24-man roster. He's not replacing anyone. As far as we know, no one's injured. He was just added. The reason, I don't know. You can let me know in the comment section down below. I'm tired. I just wanted to update you on that. Okay, so Roldan from the Seattle Sounders has been added to the roster. That almost made me vomit. But I didn't. I didn't vomit. I already told you guys that. Okay? Bye. Once again, if you want me to explain this entire setup, I can do a separate video on that. Just let me know in the comment section down below. I think it suits more the strengths of the U.S. men's national team with the players that we're missing and just in general. Because I think this is a team that would play a lot better if we were compact, narrow, and we played in transition with the wingbacks providing width and the central players being goal dangerous, like Christian Pulisic, Balogun, and Weah. Maybe I'll make this video in 2 weeks or so. All right, now before we continue, don't forget to drop a like. And now we're going to bring Albert Kim and talk about South Korea. Okay, everyone, special guest here to talk about South Korea. I had to bring you, Albert, because I'm not allowed to talk about Asian teams here.
Yo, Filippo, it's been a while, man. I think it's been since the World Cup, since I was last on the channel. But no, I mean, you could talk about Asian teams. That's just some football purists. But I will be the one to crap on some teams if I have to. So it's all good.
The Uzbekistan fans, I'm not allowed to.
Oh, dude, you don't want the smoke from those people. They're feeling a little brazen after making their first World Cup, but fair play, fair play. It's not a bad team. So
Okay, so we're not here to talk about Uzbekistan, though. Even though, yes, they're definitely better than they once were. I still don't think they're as good as they think they are, but they're better than they once were. Let's talk about South Korea because the United States is going to face them on Saturday. It's going to be a friendly, so obviously nothing at stake for this game. Last World Cup, both teams made it to the round of 16, where the Americans might disagree with this, but we suffered a bad loss against the Netherlands. I thought the Netherlands were better for like 90% of that game, and South Korea suffered a very bad loss to Brazil in the round of 16. It was 4-5-0 that game, I believe.
I was on your stream. We were watching that game together.
Yeah, but it was 4 or 5, something like that. It
It
wasn't
was 4-1, 4-1.
4-1, yeah. So it wasn't a good game for South Korea and the US. They both made it as far. And now we play each other, right? This friendly. And I know there's nothing at stake, but we're getting dangerously close to the World Cup. It doesn't look like the US is ready. So for us, it's kind of an important game. Our roster is a little bit iffy to face South Korea. But I want to pull a few things up. I want to talk about recent results from South Korea. But before we even get to that, you guys start off the cycle with a coach that most Americans should be familiar with, Jurgen Klinsmann. And my question to you is, y'all fired him mid-cycle, brought in a new coach, a Korean coach. What happened? What did Jurgen do wrong there?
Well, where do we start? I
Was he
think
shitting on the domestic league? Was that the issue?
of course he was shitting on everything. He was shitting on Korean society, the work culture. To be fair though, like he has some very valid criticisms. A part of it is like criticisms that I've had of Korea. But to make a long story short, obviously, everyone back at the States knows who Jurgen Klinsmann is. He's a shit disturber who comes in and says, "This is what's wrong with your federation. Youth development is important. Get rid of all these old dinosaurs and do things my way, my way, my way. And if you do, you can win a World Cup," even though he's never really actually won anything. He tried to do that with South Korea when he first came in. Didn't really do particularly well, had some pretty bad results. It honestly looked more like the end of his tenure with the USMNT. So, we take him to the Asian Cup, lose 2-0 to Jordan in a terrible semifinal match where we record 0 shots on target. And the KFA actually fires him about a week or two right after that Asian Cup. So it was in the middle of the cycle, you could say, but it was at the end of a tournament.
Wasn't there like a fight in the locker room with him?
Yeah, ping pong gate. Son Heung-min and Lee Gang-in got into a fight. Actually, for those who don't know, I got to interview Jurgen back in December with another channel, and he did tell us a lot about that. But yeah, it was basically down to him not having control of the locker room, and when things are too lax in a football room, Filippo, you know best, things happen. So, and that definitely was kind of a microcosm of his tenure with the KNT. I think he did try and do his best, but unfortunately, I think his best is certainly not good enough, especially in football management. So yeah, he was a disastrous hire. I think honestly, he was mainly there because he just wanted to be at the World Cup next year because it's going to be in the States. Jurgen's been living in California for 20 plus years, and I think he just couldn't help, taking a new job to be on TV during the World Cup. That's what I honestly think. So he got fired. He had some valid criticisms about Korean football. He said stuff like, "Well, I don't understand why the coach of Korea has to be in Korea the entire year because we have lots of players playing in Europe. I should be able to allowed to work remotely and scout them and see them," which is a valid criticism. And he talked about how Korean society is a little too I guess we overreact too much to random interviews. He kind of implied that during his time there, and he's not wrong. But again, two things can be true. He's a pretty bad coach, and he was deservingly fired.
Yeah. Jurgen Klinsmann. We all remember him. I actually don't hate him, and I thought he did some good things for the U.S. men's national team. I just didn't think
Yeah,
he was a good coach. And
I,
again, we
I
got
think
another evidence.
he's somebody who is like good to come in and clean things up and, maybe work in youth development or maybe picking a coach because you were the one who picked Yogi Low for the German team. So as long as he's not handling your tactics, he could be a useful guy for any football federation. Yeah.
Now, Albert, I want to get these most recent results, which I think those are the last three camps that Korea had. You guys beat Kuwait 3-1, and then you tied Palestine, tied Oman, tied Jordan. And again, that's where I want you to come in and talk about these results because from an outsider's perspective that doesn't follow Asian soccer that closely, this looks pretty bad. And then you guys defeated Iraq and defeated Kuwait again, which apparently Kuwait is the punching bag right there. Has Korea improved since Jurgen has left? Because we're going to talk about your players very soon. Korea has some really good players. One of them even plays in MLS right now, Son, incredible player. So my question is, are these results as bad as they look for the most part?
Yeah, I don't want to be too pessimistic, but in my opinion, they are as bad as they look. And all love to those Middle Eastern teams in the AFC, but they're getting better. You're seeing ballers come from places like Iraq and sometimes Palestine, but if we're being honest, South Korea should be one of the crown jewels in Asia, and drawing teams like Oman, Jordan, and Palestine is just not something you do if you want to be taken seriously, especially at a World Cup. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with the problems in the KFA. Right after Klinsmann was fired, we hired a manager named Hong Myung-bo, who actually was named by Pele as one of the top 100 footballers in the world way back when. He's really legendary Asian player, but he's not really like known for his accolades as a manager. It's just one of those things where a legendary player gets a managerial job just because of his
When
name.
did he play?
He played mostly in the 90s, but he was most known for that 2002 World Cup. We made it to the semis. He was our captain for that World Cup. Always good enough to play in Europe, just never made it because of whatever issues. But anyway, it's like almost, I don't know, someone like Brian McBride, who doesn't really is known for his tactical acumen, becoming a manager just because of his name, if I can make a
He's actually known
comparison.
for the opposite. Brian McBride, I think like 2 years ago, he said that Shaquille Moore was our best
Yeah,
defending fullback.
exactly. So it's like the best players don't always make the best coaches, and I think that's the case for Hong Myung-bo. I actually call him Mr. FIFA because if you ask him about his tactics, he plays a basic 4-2-3-1 with one of the midfielders sitting in between the center backs. But it's like there's nothing special to it, and it's so easy to counter. And he was actually our coach during the 2014 World Cup when we pretty much shit the bed and got eliminated in the group stage. So like these results, they're bad, partly due to I think having not a lot of depth on this team, but also because of the manager. Yeah.
But it looks like y'all are pretty comfortable here to qualify to the World
Yeah,
Cup. You already qualified,
yeah,
actually.
yeah, but we did struggle early on in the qualification campaign, and there were worries that we might even get knocked down to third place. And honestly, Filippo, with the expanded World Cup, if you don't qualify, especially from a region like Asia, you're an absolute disgrace. So I think I just want to be nice, but a monkey could have gotten us through this qualifying round.
Or Jurgen.
Yeah, I don't want to call him, but yeah.
So the last game that you guys defeated Kuwait, this was the starting 11.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some other games as well. Obviously, Son is not there. He was, I believe, was he going on
Injured.
vacation?
He had an injury. Yeah.
Injury, but is this more or less the starting 11 of Korea, the best 11 more or less without Son?
No, there's a lot of missing players there, namely the goalkeeper and one of the center backs. Obviously, Kim Min-jae is not in that starting 11. Also missing our number 9, who's probably going to be Oh Hyung-gyu of Genk. So there's a lot of missing players there, but it's impressive that they were able to win 4, but that's not our main lineup. No.
So here, this was earlier this year in March. My question to you, I guess, like these are, I put up 2 lineups that Korea has, and national teams always have injuries, right? The
Yeah.
U.S. has a few. Well, actually, Pochettino chose to leave a lot of players out. I'm sure you've seen the roster. He decided to bring like half an MLS
Ass.
roster. Yeah,
Ass.
yeah. He decided to leave a lot of players out. Fortunately, Balogun was added last minute because Brian White, the almighty Brian White, got injured, so Balogun was added. But for this game against the United States specifically, who are or which are the key players that South Korea is missing, and which are the players we should look out for? Obviously, Son, we don't even have to talk much about him, right? Obviously, he's one of the players to watch out for. But give us your perspective of the team that the United States will face.
So this South Korean team, luckily right now, it does not have any major injuries except one. Central midfielder Hwang In-bom, who plays in the Dutch league for Feyenoord, will be out. He's actually been one of our most consistent midfielders for a while. He played for a stint a little bit in Vancouver, for a little bit in the MLS. Not really well known about U.S. fans, but he's a very good half 6.5, 8.5 midfielder, like one of those hybrids. Only main injury, besides that, everyone knows Son Heung-min, but I think a player you have to watch out for is Lee Gang-in, the midfielder for PSG. He scored PSG's first goal in that Super Cup, or that I forgot what that tournament's
Is
called.
he
The
here?
PSG. Yeah, he's in the squad. He scored PSG's first goal against Tottenham in that crazy game. He is actually known to be like a prodigy in Korea. He moved to Spain when he was like 10, 11. He played in Valencia's youth system, went to Mallorca, and now he's at PSG. So he is like our version of Tony Kroos. So you better watch out for him. Another name to watch out for, I would say, is Lee Jae-sung. He's a kind of
The
a
Asian Tony Kroos. That's
yeah, the Asian
scary.
Tony Kroos. But he's good. If you look up Yigangin's highlights, I'm telling you right now, he's a better technical footballer than Son Heung-min. I'm not saying he's a better player than Son Heung-min, but I'm saying that he's better with his fundamentals, passing, dribbling, shooting.
And he's playing for
Um,
PSG.
he plays for PSG. Yeah, he's trying to leave, but Enrique wouldn't want to let him leave. So he's a player to watch out for. One more guy I would watch out for is Lee Jae-sung. He's a midfielder slash forward who plays in Mainz in the Bundesliga. Quietly one of Mainz's best players. He's kind of a guy who likes to, play behind the striker or on the wing and crash the box. So those are two really solid players in Europe right now who are most definitely going to start against the US and that you should watch out for.
And by the way, you're talking about Mainz. They finished sixth in the Bundesliga last season. So we're not
Solid
talking
team.
about a relegation battle Bundesliga. And you said he's among their best players. So
Yep.
that's a top Bundesliga player. Not a Bayern-like player, but pretty damn good player. Just below maybe the
Yep.
big three, big four. Those would be the main ones. So you're only missing one player that you said, the central midfielder from Feyenoord in the Eredivisie. My question, the center back from Bayern too. What's his name again?
Kim Min-jae, yeah,
Jae.
Kim's actually. I know a lot of international fans when they saw him play last few years at Bayern thought he was shit because he just had some pretty bad moments. But for a long time, he was nursing an Achilles tendon injury that would heal because Vincent Kompany refused to rest him. I believe this season, with a little more rest and playing as mainly Jonathan Tah's backup, I think he'll show his quality. But he's still a main part of this Korean national team. He's still going to start against the U.S. And I think if you put a starting lineup together of US and Korea players combined, Kim Min-jae would absolutely start on that team. And I think whoever starts as the
Him
striker
and
for the
Richards.
US,
Him and
yeah, him
Richards.
and Richards would start. So I think whoever Pochettino starts up top for the US, you're gonna have a handful to deal with because Kim Min-jae is like 6'2", 6'3". He runs like a train. He's great in the air. He's pretty decent with the ball at his feet. So it's no small task for whoever's going to play on this USMNT front line. Don't think just because Kim Min-jae is not playing well at Bayern, he's not going to give you a game in Jersey. He is.
Now, you know both teams fairly well. And coming into this camp with the roster the U.S. brought versus South Korea, despite the recent results of South Korea that have been a bit shaky, do you have a clear favorite for this one? Are these friendlies games that South Korea takes seriously? Because I know very often following CONMEBOL, sometimes the CONMEBOL nations don't care about friendlies. It depends on the country, right? Some do, some don't. Japan seems to take it very seriously every time we play them. What about Korea? And what's your expectation for this game? Like, are they the favorites?
No, these two games in the States against Mexico and the US are huge for us because there's so much heat on the manager, Hong Myung-bo. A lot of people think this is going to be a real litmus test to see, okay, you kind of muddled through qualifying against crappier Asian teams. What can you do against the decent CONCACAF team in the US, albeit, kind of not doing well themselves recently? So it's a big deal for us. In terms of the prediction, honestly, before Pochettino's roster came out, I was leaning towards a US win or draw. Now that I saw how bad that roster was, I'm leaning to a slight Korea victory just because I look at that U.S. midfield and attack, and I'm like, besides Christian Pulisic, who's going to score the goals or who's going to
Balogun,
create
maybe.
anything?
Maybe Balogun.
Balogun, but he's not Harry Kane. He's not Robert Lewandowski, right, in his prime. He can't carry an attack by himself. So right now, Filippo, I'm leaning towards a Korea win or at least a draw. And honestly, I expect kind of a crappy game because both teams have not been playing well recently. And one thing I noticed too, the game's going to be in Harrison, New Jersey. I don't know if a lot of US fans know, a lot of Koreans from the tri-state area are going to be at that game. I've been checking the tickets recently in that
It's
stadium. A lot of
expensive.
seats are empty. I'm guessing a lot of US fans aren't going, and the stadium could be full of Koreans, and maybe that'll affect the boys. It might have an effect.
It might, right? There's always a national pride or representing your country in front of fans that live abroad too. The U.S. midfield's a big concern. I think, I mean, unless Pulisic plays as a 10, if you remove Tyler Adams, that midfield is ass. It's
You
terrible.
can't pass. You can't pass.
No, not just that. Who's going to create, right? They're going to say, oh, Diego Luna. Diego Luna has not played well against any opposition outside of like CONCACAF minnows. He was bad against Turkey, bad against Switzerland, bad against Mexico. So, and then he beat up Guatemala. Good for him. Well, guess what? South Korea is not Guatemala. They're more of Switzerland, Turkey, and Mexico level, right? World Cup knockout round teams, or at least a team that goes to the World Cup and doesn't get embarrassed in the group stage. They
Yeah.
go there and they compete. They make it tough. Well, we'll see. We'll find out on Saturday. I will be doing a live watch along. You're more than welcome to stop by, especially for this game. I'll send you the link if you want to stop by. If you want to stop by at halftime, maybe give some thoughts and leave, you're always welcome to come here. We had that Brazil and South Korea stream that was fun in the World Cup. And
Oh.
Albert, thank you very much. And everyone, make sure to follow him on X. His handle is below his head. And I'm going to be putting YouTube channel, also the X, everything. I'll be putting it in the description of this video if you want to follow Albert and his work. Does a great job covering Korea. He does also videos about MLS and the U.S. national team. I was even on his channel recently. So make sure to give him a follow for that. And Albert, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. And thank you, of course, Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. All right, I'll see you all on Saturday for the live watch along between the United States and South Korea here at Tactical Manager TV. With that said, thank you very much for watching and have a great day.